Hello, I'm Master John Vasquez, and welcome to today's gold medal Taekwondo tip. So the technique we're going to work on today is back kick. And I'm going to go over a couple of key pointers for you to help improve your back kicks, whether you're at a long range, short range, in the clinch, and if you're using it attacking or defensively. So get warmed up, get stretched out, and get ready to kick. Okay, so starting a little bit of history for the back kick. Originally, back kick was exactly what it was called. You're just kicking right behind you. So today it's evolved into what's known as the spinning back kick, but for most practitioners, we just still use the term back kick in short and referring to the spinning back kick. So this was traditionally your back kick from before, either with that front leg, or let's say the closest leg, or the furthest leg, where there's no turn movement, there's no initial motion before that, you're just kicking straight behind you. So that's the traditional form of back kick. Today, however, it's evolved more into what's known as the spinning back kick in that position there. And that actually came from the other traditional kick, which was kind of known as spinning side kick, in order to add more power and a little bit of illusion to hide the technique a little bit. So boom, it was more of a spinning side kick, like that type of a technique there. So over the years it's progressed and evolved to something more sharper, a lot more impactful, and for sport oriented, a lot more effective way of scoring a point and defense against a roundhouse kick. So let's break down the movement of the spinning back kick here. I'm going to use my left leg so that way you can kind of see a better imagery of the kick here. You want to make sure that you know your distance well from either your front leg or your back leg. Now the way I'm going to execute it right now would be similar to how I would throw it as if I was using it counter-attacking, meaning that the person's kicking at me first. So I will extend my leg and kick towards the bag, but make no mistake, I'm not attacking with the kick. We're going to go over that one in a second. So from here, I'm going to turn and point, and I want to make sure both of my heels are aligned and pointed towards the shield, or the bag, I'm sorry. From there, I'm going to put my base leg down, heel down. I don't necessarily have to, but for the learning purposes of it, breaking down the steps, you'll be able to develop more muscle memory and a better technique this way. Here, knee pitch up. I want to keep my foot close. So as I execute the kick and technique going backwards, I want this foot to be close to my base leg here. So that way I don't leave any room to get around my back kick here. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Here, straight back. Now, where a lot of people make the mistake is they kick straight back thinking you want to keep the toes straight down. That's kind of a misconception there. This is where the side kick part of this back kick comes in. As I'm executing the technique and my foot going backwards, you notice my upper body's leaning for balance and control. I'm going to take and turn this foot sideways. Now, it's not a side kick because I am still reversed facing, my back's facing towards the bag. You don't want to turn anymore and turn it into a side kick. That's a different kick. I still want to remain as backwards as much as I can. However, my foot turns sideways like a side kick. So watch the movement here. 1, 2. Watch again. 1, make sure everything's aligned. Looking over my shoulder so I know where to aim. 2. That's your back kick in traditional form. So again, that would be a way of throwing the kick if somebody is attacking at me. I don't necessarily need to cover the distance or close the gap at all because they're initiating some movement towards me, so they're going to close some of the distance as well. So if I throw it in a faster motion, hop, and as you notice, I still land a little backwards. Now, because I'm practicing my technique, if I'm going to move this into a combination, or if I'm going to, in sparring, I want to recover and adapt or transition to another kick, I wouldn't necessarily land backwards. I would, set up my landing that would give me a good transition over to the next technique before I put my foot down. So that is your traditional back kick. The next way we're going to execute this technique is in the attacking form. So it's basically going to be the same thing. However, the one thing I have to do differently is I got to put some velocity momentum behind my body movement, not the kick. My body movement is going to have to extend out. So here's what I mean. If I'm going to reach out and attack somebody with this kick, it's from a far distance. If I just do the kick that we did earlier, I'm going to miss and then leave myself exposed in a very vulnerable position for a hard, severe counterattack, either to my body or to the face, which I don't want to do. I want to try to guarantee that I'm going to make some connection here, or at the very least, threaten that person enough so that they're forced to back up away from it, so that way they'll have just as hard a time trying to counter my back kick here. So I'm going to lean into it a little bit, and this is where the flexibility is going to come in, so that I can reach way out. You see how I was reaching longer on that one? And that's mostly me just stretching my body out. You can also give yourself a little bit of a hop on the base leg here to cover some of that distance. If I'm attacking, lost my mic. So that way, if I really need to add some extra power in there, you can give yourself a little hop on that. However, that is going to be a lot harder to control, and you have to have a really good technique in order to use that one successfully. So I'll show you a couple examples of it. And on the other leg. So that's how you would use your back kick as an attacking kick. Now we're going to go over the variation of back kick in a counterattacking form. So counterattacking means I'm going to throw it second. There's two ways you can do this. I'll go over the first one here, which is going to be a little bit more of your common way and a lot easier to execute. However, it's not the best option. And everything that we learn in Taekwondo and martial arts, remember, there's always a good, better, and best option. This one would probably be the better option. So this is it here. If I'm in my guarding stance and I'm waiting, I'm counterattacking, so I'm waiting for that person to kick at me first. And I would do it in the form of a pada chuggy. I skip back to evade the technique, the kick, punch, whatever it is. Then I would execute the back kick. Hop. I evade the technique, hoping that my partner is going to assume they hit, and off of that assumption, they don't hit me because I move, so then it throws their body in a state of unbalance. So when they land, they're landing in an awkward position. I'm ready to re-counter, or at least to counterattack that technique. So it leaves them vulnerable as I'm ready. So imagine the kick comes at me, and then I throw the back kick again. That's your first way. Second way would be your immediate back kick, meaning I wait for the person to kick at me again. However, I don't back up on this kick. I kick almost at the exact same time that they kick. So I'm waiting here, the kick comes in, boom, and I turn and throw my back kick. This one here is your best option, but the key points here is you have to be somewhat predictable, and you need to be able to read your opponent very, very good to be able to tell if they're moving or execute an actual committed technique, committed kick. And your back kick and spin technique have to be very, very precise. Otherwise, you leave yourself very, very vulnerable. So again, here. Imagine that kick comes in at me. I just turn and throw that kick. Now, ideally, I would want to try to do it at the same exact time their foot was executing and hitting me over here. My foot comes up to hit them right here in their stomach, chest protector, hogu, whatever you're using for the sparring drill here. Even a paddle or a shield. You can do these situational drills like that. So when this kick comes over here, boom, that's when my kick executes. Perfect ideal timing would be that, yes. However, you can still execute it somewhat a little bit after, boom, I get hit, boom, and my technique comes up and throws the kick. So that would kind of be a one-to-one transition there of 1 point and then another point. However, with today's scoring method, spinning kicks are to the body are worth 3 points now because you get that extra point for the spin. So whereas they would be earning a 2-point shot, I would be earning a 3-point shot, thus putting me ahead in the score. So here would be, the next we're gonna go over a couple of drills that you can practice on all of these kicks here in the same format. You can use a bag, you can use a partner, you can kick on the paddle, you can use a tree for kicking outside, or you can just kick in the air. You don't need to have equipment. It is better and more fun when you have something to hit. So I would suggest, try to grab a partner or somebody, but if you don't have one, it is okay. You can still do everything solo, even if you don't have any equipment. So let's get into the drill. Okay, so the first drill here we're gonna work on is just the back kick. So keep in mind here, one thing that you're always working on, again, if you don't have any equipment or a partner to work with and you're just doing this in the air, the goal in drilling is to perfect the technique, not necessarily to get stronger, faster, or create more impact off of your kick. Those are byproducts of having a really good technique. And then with other training drills on the side, that is where you're gonna develop more speed and power, i.e. plyometrics, strength training drills, running, different things of that nature. So right now we're just working on sharpness and clarity of the technique so that we can build on it later. Okay, so your traditional back kick, here we go. I'm gonna take my mic off just so it doesn't fly off of me again. Okay, here we go. Ha! 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 I would normally do 10 on each leg here. I don't know if the bag is moving off the camera here. I think it is. Let's pull it over a little bit. No, actually, I think we were good. Okay. Then I would move to the other leg here. Ha! 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 If I was training on my own, one thing that I would really try to recommend is having a mirror. For $5, you can go and get those mirrors that hang on the back of a door. They're not the best reflection, but it gives you something that you can aim at and you can see your technique. So I would do that this way here, towards the camera, like, ha, ha, ha. And what I would try to do as I'm doing that is try to notice in the reflection if my foot and heel are executing and going out to the same exact spot every single time. That's what I would look for. Today's variations, you have your video devices, whether it's a laptop, tablet, or your phone. I would highly recommend recording yourself, different angles, different variations, and watch yourself later so you can see what you need to work on. Again, right leg and left leg. Here's the next drill. This would be your attacking. Ha! Ha! Nope, missed that one. Next drill, this would be your attacking drill. Ha! I want to commit fully into that. So you notice, ha! I'm leaning and going past the bag even after point of impact. Ha! Because I want to really reach out as far as I can on that kick. So then I would do that here 10 times each leg, 3 sets of that for each leg, just to get a good warm-up. If I'm doing it on my own in the air here, you'll notice I'm going to get really close to the camera. Want to reach it out. Really far and long. Now, in that same manner for the counterattack, I would back up and execute that back. Ha! 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 Other leg. You notice I'm starting very, very close. Here's one thing that I always did when I was solo training. which was a lot, and a lot for a lot of athletes out there too. I always made sure my foot was right here underneath the bag. I touch it with my toes. That way I knew I was the exact same spot every time I went to drill, and I knew I was close enough to the bag to really force the reality of this drill. Ha! 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 If I was doing this in the air, I'm gonna start close to the camera and back away from it. Ha! 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 You notice if I'm kicking in the air, it allowed me to rotate my legs as well because I don't have any resistance. I have nothing there stopping. So those will be the drills. Go ahead and work on that. 10 on each leg, moving forward, moving backwards. Record yourself, have fun, play some music, and we'll see you guys on the next drill. Okay, now here are going to be some drills you can practice to help perfect this back kick for you. There are certain few skill sets that you're going to want to develop in order to have a good, effective back kick. And as you can notice, the number one would be spinning. So here's a couple of spinning drills that you can work on here that are going to help you with posture and not getting dizzy as you spin. So first one is just going to be a 180 turn. So all I'm doing is jumping up, both feet in the air, turning all the way around, facing one direction, then facing the other direction, just like this here. What I'm trying to do in that movement, let me turn back around again, is keep my body and posture straight. I want to keep my head straight and aligned. I don't want to lean. I don't want anything out of alignment. I want everything very vertical and kind of stiff and tight, so that way I can spin around very easily like a top. The other thing is I'm putting my feet in the exact same spots that they left on the reverse side and then when I come back forward. Now, not only would I do that on one side, I would do it the other way as well. Huh, huh. Trying not to do anything like this. Then I'm going to land off balance and definitely not with my feet in the same spot. Okay, so the next drill here is going to be what we consider wall drills. And wall drills are very good for keeping linearity with your techniques, making sure kicks don't go around too much. So that way it has a lot more of an advantage of being unseen when you're executing it, or at least untelegraphed, meaning the person's not going to be able to tell what you have coming. Okay, so for your back kick, the reason that we use a wall on the back kick, I'm going to be executing this way. But one of the biggest mistakes that most people make, and it's usually beginners, but it goes all the way up to even elite professional athletes, is the over rotation on a back kick turn. Let me switch my feet. So to show you this way, instead of staying backwards here, we will tend to over rotate here and then again kind of turning it into a spinning side kick. So you use a wall to help with that. So this would be your drill. Hands on the wall, kick back, bring it back down, turn back around. Hup, 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 hup. Now what's most important is I don't necessarily need to have both of my hands on the wall here. You can do that if you're really trying to work on the proper form of the technique and kick. However, what's most important is whatever way I'm turning, whichever leg I'm kicking with, that hand you do want to remain or place on the wall. So this will help it so that you don't over rotate so much. Just by sheer connection of my arm and shoulder here, it's not going to allow my body to turn too much. If I take that off, watch what happens here. Just even go into a guarding stance. I open my body way up to like a side kick, which is where the issue comes in on over rotation. So it works both ways, even on the left side. So I'm going to do it left way. Up. 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 Now you notice I'm doing it alone. I'm just kicking in the air as well. And I'm not, in the beginning, I'm not putting my foot down in front of me. I'm just snapping, recovering my knee, rechambering the leg, and placing it back down in my guarding stance, which is kind of, you want to build that muscle memory and habit of always legs out and back in, out and back in. Axe kick, up and down. That recovery of pulling and rechambering back in, so that way you can always go back to a guarding stance. Now, if I were to be hitting the target, and as time goes on, you might be able to, I hope I don't go off a camera here, but you might be able to extend it and land down in front of you the way you normally would in an actual situation where you're going to kick a paddle, a shield, a hogu, or even a board break. So that would be your drill there while practicing, and that's 10 times in each leg, 3 sets of each one of those. And that will really help you develop good muscle memory and technique for your spinning back kicks.